Welcome back. It is day one of strict stage 4 restrictions in Victoria. It was set to be a busy weekend for small businesses celebrating Chinese New Year and Valentine's Day. So how is this decision going to affect their bottom line? Bill Lang, Executive Director of Small Business Australia, joins me now. Good morning to you, Bill. 20,000 tests conducted in the past 24 hours. One new positive coronavirus case confirmed in the state of Victoria. Bill, if this UK strain is so infectious, why wait until midnight? Do you think the Andrews government should have done an immediate lockdown?
Well, it would appear so if we're to believe what they're actually saying about these things. And there are different views that different epidemiologists seem to be saying around incubation periods, and that, yes, it may be more contagious, but it may still be taking the same amount of time to catch, etc. But, why do you let a few thousand people still go to the tennis, not wearing any masks? Basically, most pubs and cafes and restaurants were as busy as ever up until customers had to go home last night, and then started at 11:59. There's inconsistencies. There's lots of question marks around whether we're really being told the full truth. It happened so quickly. Probably $30 million worth of fresh food had to be thrown out, overnight as a result of people gearing up, as you've identified, Chinese New Year, Valentine's Day. The polls say that Victorians have got a love affair with this particular premier. Hopefully everyone will sit down on Sunday and sort of realise that the small business owners, they're bearing the greatest financial, mental health, economic costs, emotional health costs, and no announcements about full compensation, no announcements about how we're going to help you get through. The last time around with this, Jaynie, the initial announcement was it's only going to take 2 weeks. The Chief Health Officer here said it's only going to be 2 weeks, and it ended up being 12 weeks. And that's why there's still incredible nervousness here in Victoria. And I noticed that Coles even came out overnight and said, look, they've just had their 11th run on stock that they've got in their supermarkets over the last 12 months. So we've got big issues around the confidence in the leadership that we're getting, and are we being told the truth? It's very, very concerning.
Really concerning with those figures that you mentioned as well, not to mention $100 million thereabouts for the overall cost for these 5 days in lockdown for Victoria alone. You mentioned no rescue package basically given for businesses. Should there be one? And the trust is certainly, as you said, fading away with the Andrews government.
Look, I think, Jaynie, why wasn't there an announcement made straight away saying that every business will receive, a direct proportionate, cash injection to cover rent and all of those other things, the costs that have been lost? One of the restaurateurs, Chris Lucas down here, he's had 5,000 bookings across his group of restaurants here in Melbourne that have had to be cancelled. Millions of dollars worth of stock, stock that was bought and that was fresh, now that has to be thrown out. So we never hear anything about this in terms of where's the help for the small business owner? Where is it being directed? And even last time around, we hear all this spin. In many respects, Daniel Andrews is the Donald Trump of big statements and everything's great and we're doing world class and perhaps I'm the smartest person in the room. Ministers coming out and making statements on how our quarantine system's fantastic. I think every Victorian is sitting down based on what's happened in the last 24 hours saying to themselves, well, is it really the case? They had an inquiry. The inquiry found that no one made decisions about what had taken place. The only reason they've gone to this full lockdown is because they do not have confidence in their so-called best in the world now tracing system. And I think we're going to find that an inquiry into this tracing system, decisions made, how it all operates, etc., is actually going to be a bigger deal than what's taken place with respect to the way they've gone about managing these various hotels. But why not let every small business owner know you're going to be directly compensated? Last time around, they talked about $100 million here, etc., and it turns out only about 10 million of that have people been able to access because they've come up with complicated rules that means most people can't actually access it. It's time to step up and provide full compensation to these small businesses that are bearing the biggest costs associated with every time they spread fear and lock everything down.
Bill, should we be comparing ourselves to overseas, or should Victoria be comparing themselves to perhaps New South Wales, who is considered one, if not the leading places in COVID safety?
Well, look, I think everyone around the country sort of looks at the way New South Wales has done things. We've had state premiers, put the states first, the old colonies first over the country. And everyone's frightened. Like, again, 11 runs on Coles supermarkets over the last 12 months, shortages. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. And this is all around populism, the popularity of these premiers, wanting everyone to stay safe. I'm going to keep you safe. You listen to the language of the Premier of Victoria. It's always I. You must, or I will. It's time for him to do the right thing, restore confidence, share all of the information, be open with the truth. And if people are not trusting him, it's time for him to move on.
Bill Lang, really appreciate your insights today, and thank you for joining us. Bill Lang, Executive Director of Small Businesses Australia.
Thank you, Jaynie.